viewers, in the last program we looked at different literary devices and different elements of the play. In this program, let us look at the different phases of the play and the way it moves forward with its interesting climaxes, twists and turns. Module 1 introduces Mahesh Dattani, and he occupies a very special and illustrious position on the canvas of Indian writing in English. Most of his plays are pragmatic in their approach and send a message to the readers through thought-provoking themes. Among the modern Indian playwrights, he stands singularly distinct with rich expertise in exploring the realms of theatre. He is the most serious and contemporary Indian dramatist in English. He has a detailed eye to identify the issues of the marginalized society very successfully. His plays are replete with the shades of human conflicts, with a societal background, with a human sentiment which can stir common audience. He is an internationally acclaimed dramatist in English who is successful in finding a connect with his national and international audiences through his stage plays. Final Solutions has brought him the laurels through the Sahitya Academy Award, and he is the first Indian writer in English to receive it. The play Final Solutions and Other Plays is a stage play in 3 acts based on intense and gripping shades of communalism. The time of the action is in late 1940s and the thrilling period of gripping communalism due to partition of the country into 2 divisions, that is India and Pakistan. The horror on the streets based on communal riots was so intense and bloody that it would haunt the reader through his plays for years. The significant trait of Dattani's plays is that horror takes place in streets and the action at home. In this play, Dattani has used segmented stage and family as a battlefield of action. He deals with most complex and intricate issues of communal hatred and mutual disrespect between 2 rival religions. He tries to promote horizontal comradeship through his play The Final Solutions. Chorus plays a key role representing the 2 ethnic groups in dispute. English literature has a special place for chorus, which is a group of singers whose songs and dances present an exposition of, or in other traditions, a disengaged commentary on the action in progress. In early Greek times, ceremonial songs marked the religious festivals in the form of masked dancers who sang and also performed. Sometimes the group can enter into the action representing a mob, crowd or any other group in the story, that is amorphous. In poetry, chorus dons the role of a lyricist and gives the shape of a song, gives the shape to the song. Sometimes the chorus can appear or manifest in multiple roles. It can act as a narrator, example, the stage manager in our town, or appear as a character in a story, and may sometimes play a dual role of a chorus or a narrator by both partaking in the action and commenting on it to the audience. So, chorus, it has multiple roles to play very effectively. To sustain the interest of the audience in the plays of the ancient Greek theatre, a chorus was used to offer a multiplicity of milieu and gist of information. The literal meaning of the word chorus means in unison. The use of a chorus as a literary device in literature arises from dramatic traditions of ancient Greece. The literary world underwent a sea change, and the chorus was repeatedly reduced to a single performer who commented on the action, who might at times join in the doings as a sort of Joe citizen type, as found in the prologues to the first two acts of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. In Shakespeare's Henry V, the chorus is a character commenting in between acts to interpret the subtle nuances of the events. In Aeschylus' works, the chorus takes part in the action of the play, while in Sophocles, the chorus comments on the action. In Euripides' works, the chorus is romantic and lyrical. Modern playwrights T.S. Eliot and Brecht exploited choruses in their Murder in the Cathedral, which was written in the year 1935, and the Caucasian Chalk Circle, which was written in 1948 respectively. The chorus in the play titled Final Solutions depicts conflict of characters, and it is a psychophysical representation of the characters and provides the visual images of the conflicts of the characters through chorus. The chorus group represents both the religions, that is Hindus and Muslims, alternatively with intricate layers of veiled interpretations. The play Final Solutions has a dominant contemporary and modern tone, and it addresses the issue of utmost concern to our society. What is that issue? The issue of communalism. The play is written in 3 acts. The play encompasses the wide canvas which portray the period from partition that shattered India to the present day communal riots. The writer delves deep into the religious intolerance and the bigotry by exploring the attitudes of 3 generations of a middle class Gujarati business family. Hardika, the grandmother, is gripped and obsessed with her father's murder that was committed during the partition turmoil and the treachery by a Muslim friend, Zareen. Her son, Ramanik Gandhi, is haunted by the knowledge of his fortunes were founded on a shop of Zareen's father, which got burnt down by his kinsmen. Act 1 starts with Daksha, the young bride. Reading the diary, Hardika has the practice of making the note of the events of the day in her personal diary. The events provide a platform to the viewers and readers to understand the plot and the story. She reads the scenes of freedom struggle and the announcement of independence and the tumultuous phase of partition. The place mentioned happens to be the ancestral house of Hardika at Husainabad. The chorus dominates by donning a major role in the play by providing the background narration, again which is an important literary device. The chorus puts a veil of Hindu masks and depicts the scene of a procession of the Hindus with Lord Krishna's idol in the Rath or chariot in English. The chorus continues to draw the attention of the audience towards the inhuman behavior and the religious prejudice of the mob that pulls the idol down and stabs the priest in the stomach. The stone pelting at the procession by an anonymous person from the mob creates a chaotic situation. The circumstances become so confusing that the authorities are forced to impose curfew, and the situation turns critical and a great turmoil outside is seen developing. The chorus now presents itself in the play with the Muslim masks on and makes its hostile feelings evident towards Muslims, saying that they raised their temples yesterday and they break their chariot today. While Daksha is seen enjoying an old melody by the famous yesteryear singer Noor Jahan, the gramophone stops unexpectedly when a stone hits it. The chorus presents the two boys who are suspected by the men outside and run for shelter. They pound on the door of Gandhi's house for shelter, and after a great hesitation, Ramanik Gandhi opens the door. The chorus will now represent the voice of the outside violent mob who instructs Gandhi to send them out. The conflict of ideas and diverse viewpoints among the members of family for providing shelter to two Muslim boys against the threatening calls of the mob outside is well presented on the stage. Daksha painfully expresses that the most traumatic experience she experienced during the partition was the destruction of her record collection. A stone hitting our gramophone table, those beautiful voices cracked. This symbolic cracking of her records represents not only the cracking of Daksha's world, that is the death of her father, but also the division of India and Pakistan in the partition. And this led to her resentment towards Muslims. The character of Daksha mirrors two factors which become the major source of Hardika's hostility towards Muslims. The first being the murder of her father in her hometown of Husainabad, which becomes a part of Pakistan during the partition. The second reason is the physical and mental agony she had to endure when her husband Hari and her in-laws discover about her relationship or friendship with her Muslim neighbor Zareen. Her son Ramanik is a secular Hindu and much more friendly and kind to the boys. However, the audience realizes that Ramanik's kindness is a disguised guilt which torments him over running the business his father acquired through illegal means and by cheating Zareen's family after the partition. Ramanik's wife Aruna is a pious woman who does not get along with Muslims. She is seen to be sitting alone in her room and drinking water from her glass. She believes that their touch defiles her. Smita, Ramanik and Aruna's daughter, is also very uneasy and perturbed with them for all possible reasons. The narration of the character of Daksha or Hardika paints the traumatic picture of the partition of India and Pakistan in the year 1947. The writer presents this as the greatest source of tension between South Asia's Hindu and Muslim populations. It begins with the chorus expressing the seriousness of the situation with curfew in the streets. Surprisingly, Smita discloses the fact that she knows the two Muslim boys who enter the house for the shelter. This fuels the anger of Aruna and Ramanik. The boys happen to be her classmate's brother Javed and her fiancé Baban. Ramanik extends his friendly gesture by becoming a cultured and a refined host and offers them food along with shelter. He also offers a job in his sari shop for Javed. Bobby or Baban reveals the true colors of Javed. He narrates the incident of Javed being hired by the militant parties to spread the hatred through communal riots. Smita is terribly disturbed and becomes emotional. Unable to digest the truth, she rushes out of the room. The play Final Solution, written by Dattani, makes the reader conversant with the bitter realities of our lives. The past begin to determine the attitude of the present, and thus the earlier contradiction and inconsistencies resurface. No straight answers are provided in the play to the issue of communalism, but it raises questions on secularism and pseudo-secularism. It forces us to introspect ourselves in relation to the attitudes that prevail in the society. Since it is an experiment in time and space and relates to memory, it is a play which involves a lot of critical analysis on the part of characters in the play and thus stimulates similar introspection in the viewers. The play Final Solutions is based on the apparently friendly ties between two religions or two sects, Muslims and Hindus, and the seething currents of revulsion beneath. The family unit has members of different age groups, representative of the past and the present. Stretching 60s present, teaching her children and revealing the family's past. Major events are presented through her in the play to over a period of half a century. Young people like Smita, Bobby and Javed present the future, and Ramanik and Aruna the present, while Hardika, the grandmother of Smita, is sometimes presented in Daksha, its past, a 15-year-old newly married young girl, writing her diary, mirroring her grandmother in her younger days. Act 3. It focuses on Muslim chorus and two men sitting on the floor on the highest level of ramp. The boys are engrossed in the conversation. Bobby wants Javed to be a matured person so that he can lead a meaningful life. Ramanik is suspicious about Javed's activities and interrogates him on his connections with the militant group, and Javed reacts in an arrogant tone. Ramanik empathizes with Javed and tries to engage him by employing in his shop to distract him and keep him away from the militant activities, and helps him to lead a better life. Ramanik tries his best to mend Javed's ways of living. Javed defends his behavior by narrating a childhood incident which became a turning point in his life. Well, the incident was like this. It was a street cricket match with younger boys playing with a sporting spirit and is described as a common scene which is usually seen in the bylanes of any city in India. Javed was one of the team members. On the fateful day, Javed was requested by a postman who was in a great hurry to pass the post to a neighbouring house. The man in the house, in an irksome tone, asked Javed to leave the letter on the wall later. Well, Javed was little perplexed with that man's behavior, and he observes that the man wipes it with a cloth and cleans the wall and his gate with a cloth before picking up the letter. Provoked by his behavior, the next day Javed is seen throwing pieces of meat and bones in the backyard of his neighbour's house. Javed gets caught as the culprit and is thrown out of the house. Later, he becomes an active participant of militant group and undergoes training to spread communal riots in his area. One small incident was enough to disturb his thought process. Usually, communal disturbances are seen to raise their ugly heads when religious processions mark different occasions. Such processions lead to communal disharmony by some unsocial elements whose main objective is to disturb the peace of the society, and is a common happening on Indian streets. Dattani used this theme of the communal riot of the streets as the backdrop in the play and moved the tension to Ramanik's house or home. The intelligent and aesthetic use of theatrical device is laudable in Act 3. The brilliant use of stage spaces like the floor, the ramp and the other side of the stage where the light focuses after skimming past the Hindu and the Muslim chorus adds a meaningful glamour to the whole play. The pangs of guilt, mental agony and the trauma haunt Javed and Daksha's painful memories based on the disturbances between the two communities and stand on precarious crossroads. The chorus advocates and shares its philosophy. A drop of oil cannot merge with an ocean of milk. One reality cannot accept another reality. This play is a response to Mahesh Dattani's reaction to the sporadic communal riots, breaking forth here and there at frequent intervals and different times create chaotic and turbulent situations in the society through social, political or unconventional ways. The play is not all that grim. The writer also shows his optimistic streak and successfully instills confidence and awakens the conscience of the audience from their slumber. The play Final Solutions by Dattani tried to address an evil practice that was haunting the country for long but without an iota of doubt. It was indeed a brave attempt by the writer to address this issue. Memory plays a vital role. It has received or it has gained the importance of central theme in Final Solutions. It is through the lanes of memory that Dattani points to the oblique course of hatred. The sense of assimilation of the generations of Hardika and Javed is vividly suggested. Dattani is a unique writer and depicts the reality of the society directly through this play. The older generation that had borne the brunt of communal violence is not ready to accept any solution, but the younger generation thinks on the same issue differently. Difference in the thought process, the perspectives and the approaches. The theme and the popularity of the play was so impressive that it was translated into Hindi by Shahid Anwar. In 1998, it was performed in Hindi, directed by Arvind Gaur for Asmita Theatre. The narrative of the character of Daksha or Hardika represents the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947. Which is perhaps the greatest cause of tension between South Asia's Hindu and Muslim populations. The partition of India, one of the most traumatic and turbulent events of the 20th century, portrayed an era of uncertainty and dislocation, following widespread collective violence, rape, arson and the displacement of millions of refugees across South Asia. Alik Padamsee, the advertising man, commissioned Dattani to write a play that would speak to the communal violence that was devouring India in the early 90s. However, Dattani felt that so much of it, communalism, goes back in time, and thus he decided to create the character of Daksha or Hardika. Although Final Solutions dates back to 45 years after the partition, the events of the world's most massive human displacement in the 20th century haunt many South Asians. The play reaches its culmination in the early hours of the morning when Bobby enters the Gandhi family puja room or the prayer room and picks up the image of deity of Lord Krishna to Aruna's great anguish. The mob or the chorus in both Hindu and Muslim masks or who are veiled with Hindu and Muslim masks begin to strike the floor in rhythm. Bobby declares that he has the support of God and no evil can befall him. Upon seeing Aruna's dismay, he advises her to forgive and forget and says, if we understand and believe in one another, nothing can be destroyed. He then turns to Hardika and states, and if you are willing to forget, I am willing to tolerate. Bobby and Javed exit and join the mob or the chorus on the ramp. After they leave, Ramanik tells Hardika that her husband and her father-in-law ruined her friend Zareen's family business. Upon hearing this, Hardika realizes that the real reason why her in-laws forbade her friendship with Zareen was not because Zareen was a Muslim, but because they were trying to cover up their own crime. Crushed, Hardika asks Ramanik why he didn't tell her this earlier. Ramanik claims that he did not want her to have to live with the guilt. Hardika then asks, do you think those boys will ever come back? Ramanik replies, if you call them, they will come back. But then again, if it is too late, they may not. The play drops its curtain with the image of Javed and Bobby standing amongst the members of the masked mob or chorus. All along, to conclude, we have looked at the different literary devices very intelligently and aesthetically used by the writer, and also the interesting play which has captured the communal riots as its backdrop and has conveyed a very strong message to the coming generations of India. Hope you have enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you.